My name is Catherine. My husband, Daniel, and I got married when his child from a previous marriage was 10 years old. It was my first marriage, so I had no clue about parenting, but I was determined to raise him right. I wanted children of my own, but I feared I'd compare them to my stepchild. That's why I never had kids of my own. Instead, I devoted myself entirely to my husband and stepson, Ted. Then, out of the blue, my husband passed away suddenly. As I was engulfed in sorrow, Ted said to me with a smile, "Dad loved his mistress more than you were just the housekeeper. Also, I'm inheriting everything, so stay out of it."
What are you talking about? Dad couldn't possibly have had a mistress.
You're the one being foolish. Dad was really good at hiding his affairs. He definitely had another woman. Such nonsense can't be true. I refused to take Ted's words seriously. Well, it's your choice not to believe it, but it's a fact that Dad had a mistress. Ted laughed with a look of triumph. His face seemed to resemble his mother more than my husband. He always had a condescending look and tone, as if he was mocking everyone. Of course, I didn't really know his mother, his father's ex-wife. I had only seen her in photographs. But since he didn't look like my husband, I guessed he must take after her. That's why I was strict in his upbringing. I taught him what was right and wrong, and didn't hesitate to scold him when he did something bad. When he neglected his studies, I made him sit at his desk even though he didn't like it. It's true, I was quite nagging, always making sure he wouldn't embarrass himself in public. But this kid never listened to a word I said. Now that Dad's gone, our relationship is over. Is that so? I really hated you, you know. Thinking that we're now strangers, I feel so relieved. Did you hate me that much? Yeah, I did. You always disapproved of everything I did. He said, even though he was often doing things that deserved disapproval. When I came home late, you were always nagging. Of course I was. You were only in middle school at that time. But my friends were out playing till midnight. They were a bad crowd. You shouldn't have been hanging out with people like that.
Who I hang out with is my business. You might think that now as a college student, but back then you were still a child. As a parent, I couldn't just let things slide.
Parent? I never thought of you as a parent. You were nothing more than a housekeeper. A housekeeper. Yes, a housekeeper. He affirmed, smiling smugly, occasionally letting out an exaggerated laugh. Then, a woman suddenly appeared in our spacious living room, agreeing with Ted's words. Exactly. Ted, you understand it well. His father always said you were just the housekeeper. And who are you? I asked, recognizing her face. This is Camila. Dad's mistress.
Dad's mistress?
I thought to myself, screaming internally, no way. My husband couldn't possibly have had a mistress. Yes, I was his father's mistress, Daniel's lover. I was loved by him much more than you.
That's a lie.
I know you don't want to believe it, but it's the truth. No matter what you say, the fact is he loved me more. Just accept it. Dead men tell no tales. What? You must be joking. He really said that. And he told me not to give you a single penny of the inheritance. Inheritance. That's right. As a housekeeper, you have no right to any inheritance. Well, Dad had a fortune, you know. I don't know if you're aware, but all that money is mine now. Being an only child comes in handy at times like this. I don't have to share the inheritance. So, all you need to do is sign this.
What is this?
It's a document stating that you're renouncing your claim to the inheritance. Once you sign this, you can never claim any part of it. I see. You might want to share, but a woman who wasn't loved doesn't deserve any inheritance. Too bad. Exactly. Camila is right.
Come on, sign it. Then all the inheritance will be Ted's.
Ted, are you sure about this? Of course. I'm going to be rich. And at the same time, it means saying goodbye to you. Ted laughed, along with Camila, who claimed to be his father's mistress. I recognized her face, but was she really the mistress? I couldn't believe my husband would have a mistress like her. She wasn't his type at all. Then who could she be? I had a vague memory of her, but couldn't place it. Hurry up and sign it. Like it or not, you have no choice but to give up the inheritance, Ted insisted. At that moment, a realization dawned on me. But I chose not to voice it. Saying it out loud wouldn't change anything. That was my thought. So, I picked up the pen and said, "All right. I'll live strong, no matter what happens." And with that, I left the house. From then on, I stayed in a hotel, looking for a place to live, visiting various real estate agencies. It was around the time I finally found a new place to live. Ted, who had told me to never contact him again, called me. When I answered the phone, wondering what it could be about, Ted spoke with an excited voice and heavy breathing. "The inheritance proceedings are completed." "Oh, congratulations. Now, I'm a millionaire." "That's great for you. You must be so upset." "Not really. By the way, who said you're a millionaire?" "Camila, Dad's mistress. From now on, I'll live with her as my mother." "Camila said that?" "Yeah, she says I'm her son since I'm Dad's son." "Well, she was loved by Dad, so it's not wrong to call her my mother. Plus, she wants to live with me in that house. Living together will surely be fun." "That's nice. You were always strict and never considered my feelings, but she always puts my feelings first. She says I should do whatever I want. You know, I was correcting your mistakes. If you don't teach what shouldn't be done, how will you know? That's why I was strict. I don't want to hear your excuses. You just didn't like me because I was a stepchild. Did you think I was too stupid to notice? Always treating me like a child. But you were a child. You have no idea how unhappy I was living with you. You're only saying that because things didn't go your way. That means I was disciplining you properly. Pampering isn't the only way to discipline, you know? Indeed, as someone who never became a mother, I was desperate to discipline Ted properly so he wouldn't struggle as an adult. There were many times when we clashed because of this. If I had always given in to Ted's wishes, I feared he would go down the wrong path. Even at meal times, I was particularly strict about manners. Because of that, when Ted dined out, he was often complimented rather than criticized. But this led to him often calling me a tyrant and locking himself in his room. Still, I hardened my heart for the sake of my child. Now that he's in college, unless it's something serious, I don't interfere as a parent. So, since he started college, I haven't really said much. Yet, in Ted's mind, I remained the same tyrannical figure. And the person Ted chose was Camila, the woman claiming to be his father's mistress. Why does Camila say Dad was a millionaire? Dad apparently said before he died that his estate was worth over $1 million. I guess only Camila, his mistress, would know something like that. Is that so? And he wanted me to inherit everything after he passed away, and said it would be nice if Camila lived in the house too. He wanted us to live together happily. Oh really? It's a pity for you. What do you mean? That I inherited everything. It means, despite his wealth, he didn't consider you at all. Oh, that? I don't really care. You're just acting tough. There's a will saying not to give you a single penny. So, this house and any other lands he owned are all mine. I renounce the inheritance, so hearing this now doesn't affect me. Besides, Dad told me not to inherit anything while he was alive. Why would he say that? Who knows? Maybe he wanted to leave everything to you, Ted. I can't understand Dad's true intentions. Right, he probably said that because he wanted his real son to inherit. Just like Camila said. She said that too? Yeah, she said it would be pitiful if his stepmother took the inheritance. That the money left by a father should all go to his child. I agree with her. Well, I don't mind. I'll forget all the nagging you did. Just because you gave up the inheritance willingly. Thanks for that. Don't contact me ever again, no matter how poor you become. We are strangers now, whatever happens. Don't worry, Ted. Whatever happens, take care. Thus, Ted called me, ostensibly to report the completion of the inheritance, but really seeking a sense of superiority, thinking I would be upset. Of course, I wasn't upset or resentful. Furthermore, I thought I would never contact him again. That's what I believed. However, I didn't contact him, but after a while, Ted reached out to me.
Mom, what should I do?
Oh, I thought we were no longer mother and son. It's troubling to be called Mom all of a sudden.
Don't be so mean.
What happened?
The house has been seized.
Oh, I see.
You're taking this rather lightly.
It's only natural that it happened.
What do you mean by that?
I don't know what basis Camila had for saying you were a millionaire, but Dad had more debts than assets.
You're kidding.
It's not a joke. That's why the house was seized.
I don't understand. If that's true, why did Dad leave me the inheritance?
It's more like he left you the debts as well. Debts are part of the inheritance, you know. You would have understood if you had listened to the lawyer during the inheritance proceedings.
But
you didn't listen, did you?
But Camila said we were millionaires. Dad had a fortune, so we wouldn't have to worry about anything. That's why I thought there was no need to listen to the lawyer.
Oh dear, that's what happens when you take someone's word for it without checking for yourself. That's why I always told you to verify things before believing what people say. I taught you that, but you still fell into a big trap.
I can't believe it.
You thought I was just being a mean stepmother, right? That's why you only saw me as nagging. Too bad for you.
But Camila is his mistress. If his mistress says it, it must be true, right?
It wasn't true, though, was it?
Yeah, but so that's why you told me not to inherit the estate.
It might be.
Why didn't you tell me about it then?
Your father used to call you a foolish son, you know? No matter how strictly I spoke to you, you never listened and were always out playing. He thought you would eventually learn the hard way.
This is too painful.
True, but they say the struggles of youth are worth buying. Isn't this just the right experience for you?
It's not good at all.
But you have Camila, right? You'll support each other. She's an adult, so she'll surely help you.
That's true, but
does Camila know about this? No, she's at work right now.
Oh, she's working?
Apparently.
I thought she might quit her job once you inherited. Do you know about Camila? You said considering it's her.
Not much. But I do wonder if she really was his mistress. Everything will probably come out in the open eventually.
What?
Anyway, struggles in youth are valuable. Just keep at it.
I won't struggle. There must still be plenty of assets left, just the house was seized. If that's the case, I can just buy a new house with the other inheritance Dad left.
I hope that works out for you. Is that all you wanted to talk about? Yeah. Then I'll hang up. I'm busy too, I said, ending the call abruptly. That night, after returning from work, Camila contacted me.
Hey you!
Oh, what a surprise. And who might you be?
It's Camila. The one Daniel loved, Camila.
Oh, I see. You seem quite panicked.
Of course, I'm panicking. Why is the house being seized?
I don't live there, so how would I know? Why are both of you asking me?
But Daniel was supposed to have an estate worth over $1 million. Why is this happening? You didn't take the inheritance, did you?
Of course not, I renounced the inheritance. How could I possibly take it then?
I don't know about that. Maybe you did something?
That's impossible. I'm not a magician.
Maybe you secretly took the best part of the inheritance first, leaving us with nothing?
It's quite a thought. With a lawyer involved, how could that even be possible?
Well, that's true, but
thinking like that, are you suggesting you might do something like that, Camila?
I would never. How rude.
Whatever you heard from my husband, he only had negative assets. And the amount was up to $1 million.
But he used to be a millionaire before.
That was before you two split, right?
Huh.
He failed in business after you split. Since then, everything he tried just didn't work out, and his debts only increased. That's why he told me to renounce the inheritance before he passed away.
You know about me.
Of course, I know. The whole Mr. story is just a blatant lie, isn't it? You're Ted's real mother, aren't you?
How did you figure that out?
I thought it was odd when I first heard you were his mistress. I've seen a photo of his ex-wife, and she was a very modest woman. But you're quite flashy. You didn't seem like the type he'd have as a mistress. However, I did think your face looked familiar. As we talked, I noticed how much you resemble Ted, almost like a mother and son. Well, of course, you are mother and son. The memory of the modest you and the present you overlapped, and I realized you were the same person. You've changed quite a bit, haven't you?
I've been through a lot.
Well, that's beside the point. If you're his real mother, why didn't you just say so? Ted would have been happy to know that.
There's a lot going on.
Always a lot. But my husband said something before he died. He said, when I'm gone, my ex-wife will probably show up.
Is that so?
Yes, it was exactly as he predicted. However, the way you showed up was quite unexpected. He also said you would likely sweet-talk your way into Ted's good graces. That prediction was spot on too. Quite the foresight for an ex-couple. But, he did ask me to keep quiet about this.
If you knew I was his mother, why didn't you say anything? Just because he asked you to stay quiet doesn't mean you have to follow everything he said.
I didn't think it was necessary to say anything. If he left such instructions, there must have been a reason for it. But why are you deceiving Ted like this? No matter how much you say there's a lot going on, it's just too much and not convincing.
I am his mother, after all. I never wanted to deceive my own child. But now, what good would it do to suddenly claim I'm his mother? If I said that, he would surely resent me. I'm the woman who abandoned him. If he hated or resented me, I'd miss out on the inheritance.
Oh, it sounded like a touching story at first, but so your real concern is the inheritance?
Of course. I thought there was a fortune of millions. By getting close to him and playing the part of a kind woman, I thought I could get my hands on his inheritance. Really, as his wife, I should have been the one to receive the inheritance.
I see, so claiming to be a mistress was a strategic move to usurp the inheritance. Exactly. It was a perfect plan. Normally, the existence of a mistress would cause resentment. Thanks to you. Me? You were so strict with him that Ted couldn't understand what true kindness is. He ended up thinking superficial kindness is the real thing. So, even as a mistress, if someone shows him a bit of kindness, he sees them as a good person. Really, you did a great job with disciplining him. For that, I am grateful. I see, so he's a foolish son. Did you convince him that I was just a housekeeper? Exactly. I was impressed that his father didn't think highly of you. It was easy. If he felt his father also disapproved of him, his affection for his father would increase, but his feelings for you would plummet. And that's exactly what happened. He believed everything I said. So my efforts to raise him well backfired. I read so many books on education, but in the end, a book is just a book. Of course. People are different. You can't just apply what's in a book to everyone. It's all about the carrot and the stick. Indeed, it's a learning experience for me now. People, especially children, are swayed by superficial kindness. I thought I had explained things well to him. But I failed. It's just a case of an estranged parent and child. I won. This isn't about winning or losing. What are you going to do now? Now that you know the inheritance is negative?
That's obvious,
Camila said without elaborating further and hung up the phone. Left with a conversation that ended abruptly, I felt frustrated but decided it wasn't my place to say anything more and chose to forget about it. For about a week after that, everything seemed peaceful. I assumed Camila was supporting Ted. After all, they were mother and son, and surely she wouldn't neglect her distressed son. That was my thought. However, just over a week later, Ted showed up at my apartment.
Wow, you found out where I live?
Yeah. I researched it. I realized then that he had some sense after all. I thought he was a foolish child, but it seems he's developed some ability to think things through.
So how's everything?
Camila is gone.
Gone?
What do you mean?
I haven't seen her for a week. Maybe she's on a trip?
She hasn't come here?
Of course not. Are you worried because she's gone?
Yeah, because she said we were going to live together. If she suddenly disappears, anyone would be anxious, right? I wondered if that was the only reason. Or if it was the blood connection seeking her out.
Did she leave any letter or note?
Nothing. It'd be better if there was something.
Well, she is actually your real mother. What? What are you talking about?
That's the truth.
Don't say stupid things. I talked to her on the phone recently, and she clearly said it. My real mother, and she left me again?
Well, whether she left you or not, I don't know. She left me once before, and probably did it again. What am I supposed to do now? Some debt collection notices have started coming.
You have to pay them. If she's my mother, shouldn't she also be responsible for paying?
No, she's not responsible.
Why not? She was Dad's wife. Even if they were separated, they still loved each other, right?
That's not how it works. She wasn't actually his mistress.
What do you mean?
She claimed to be the mistress just to get a hold of the inheritance.
What are you talking about?
It's complicated.
Then she should have just said she was my mother.
Seems she thought she might be resented and lose the chance to get the inheritance.
That's ridiculous, or maybe not.
As expected of a parent and child. Regardless, now that you've inherited the estate, you have to pay up, Ted.
I figured as much. Hey, you're his mom, too. Can't you help me out here?
I'm a stranger to you, aren't I? Besides, I renounced my inheritance. That means I didn't inherit any of the debt either. You're the one who inherited it, Ted. And you're the one who told me never to get involved again. So, I have no intention of doing so.
That woman knew everything and left me to escape, didn't she?
I don't know, but maybe. That's what it is, it must be. Ted, you're a lot like her. What do you mean? You only think about yourself. That's why things turned out this way. I tried to teach you. If you don't have a heart for others, when you're in trouble, you're the one who ends up getting hurt.
Oh.
Ted looked at me and said, so that's what it was. As he slumped his shoulders. The estate left by my husband was seized and auctioned off. The debt was a hefty amount, but still, it all fell on Ted's shoulders. Without a place to live or any money, Ted ended up dropping out of college to work. However, Ted, who never minded causing trouble for others, managed to scrape by with odd jobs but was nowhere close to paying off his debts. Eventually, seeing no way out, he chose bankruptcy, laughing it off as a last resort. This led him into a miserable life, and he even stopped working, resenting his deceased father and wondering why he alone had to suffer like this. Despite knowing that not working would only make things worse for himself, he seemed oblivious to such common sense. I couldn't help but think what a foolish son he was. Moreover, my son, Ted, had come up with the idea of becoming a gigolo. He thought he'd find a woman to support him. But, to do that, one would need a certain level of charm, wouldn't they? Shallow-minded Ted, always thinking only of himself and neglecting others, insisted solely on his own rights. As a result, even the girlfriend he had managed to find eventually left him. This led to him being unable to pay his apartment rent, and ultimately, he fell into homelessness. As for me, my late husband had been depositing about $2,000 into my account every month before he passed, so I never had any financial troubles. Thanks to that, I've been able to live in a small apartment and quickly found a job, leading a peaceful life. Now, more than ever, I am grateful for the depth of my husband's love.